in Dollhouse Extravaganza. I want to say a special thank you to Linda Mundy from Miniature Collectors of Australia for putting on the opportunity for us all to come together during COVID-19 and still enjoy a miniature fair together. I think it's an amazing idea, Linda, so well done. Congratulations to you. You have my utmost respect and thanks. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Carissa and I am from Miniature Fairy Tales. It's fairly new, where I sell my designs so that you can hand cut or use a cutting machine to make them for yourself. You have seen all the updates, so you know that we're making this little beauty today. So this is a desk that I designed recently. This one is made out of 600 GSM cardstock, more like board actually. So there should have been a material list and the PDF that came out a little earlier. I hope you have had a chance to look at that and to cut out your pieces, and I hope everyone's ready. However, for those who aren't and might want to pick up this video later, I have the ability to post this onto YouTube at a later time after the extravaganza. So if you don't have the cut list yet, that's okay. We will provide that to you. Now, my usual scale is 1/24 scale. So if you don't know what that is quarter size of this, because it's halfway down, halfway across. So my miniatures are normally about this big. So for me, this has been a little bit different, but I've had to go up to a thicker cardstock, if that makes sense. So usually for me, I would use Cricut Craft Board, but for this project, I have used 600 GSM board. If you have any questions, feel free to post them, and myself or any other miniaturist, I guess, on Miniature Collectors of Australia can help to answer any queries that you might have. But in the meantime, I'm so glad you've joined me. Thank you so much. On with the tutorial. Okay, so here we are at my cutting mat, and I have all my pieces cut out, and I want to go through these with you. So at the moment you can see we are looking at the front and the back of the desk, and these pieces I'm holding at the moment are all for the top of the desk. And then I have the door and the frame and the door insert. And I have a little decorative piece for on the front of the desk there, and you'll see I have the drawer fronts and the drawer frames. And now moving further on, this pile is the sides of the desk. So I've got the backing frames and the fronts and the inserts, and here I'm looking at the base of the desk. And these parts are for the decorative panels on the back. And that middle section I've just taken from the top there, they are the base tiers. So they go on the top of the base, and then these pieces are for the inside of the desk. And these pieces, as I said earlier, are for the top of the desk. So this is everything, and this is what we'll be working with today. So you'll see here I'm going to set them aside, but I'll keep them in their piles because they're quite handy to sort of know what area of the desk you're working on. So I'm going to set them aside in a way that makes sense to me, and you can do the same in whatever way makes the best sense for you. Now to start out, what I thought we would do is glue all of the pieces that had panels together, and we will set them aside to dry, and then as we go through, the first part that we worked on should be dry by the time we get to gluing the last bit, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how I want to work this tutorial today, and we will be taking some frequent breaks so that you can see other parts of the extravaganza in between, and if your pieces are still wet, it'll give them an opportunity to dry. So without further ado, at the moment you can see in front of me the two left and right side pieces and their groups. So these will be labelled RSP and LSP. Now how we're going to do this is you will be gluing onto the nice side of the board without any writing on it. So that's what you'll be gluing onto, and where you will be placing your glue is onto the frame on the back side, which has your writing or your measurement on it. So essentially we're going to hide that between the two pieces. So what I'd like you to do is take your glue and start adhering that now, and then when you get to the insert panel, again you're going to set the glue onto the side where you have written or made your measurements, and then you're going to face it so that the nice side is facing forward. And what we'll be left with is the piece label on the back of the backing board only, and none of the other piece labels will be showing. So let's go ahead and do that now. And the other thing that I'd like you to be aware of is that this is not a square piece. So before you paste the frame part down, do make sure that it lines up correctly with the edges of the backing board, because it's not square. So if you paste it down wrong, one side might stick out a bit longer. And you can also see here that I've used a nice light layer of glue, so we don't need to go too hard with the glue. It's cardstock, so it doesn't need too much. And here I'm using my roller just to spread out that glue, and you'll see some of it has come out through the through the edges. So at this point I have a bit of leeway with my tacky glue. It's still wet, so I can still maneuver the pieces. So I push mine down onto my cutting board just to line all the edges up. And then I use a toothpick and I go around all of my edges and I clear away any excess glue. You can see here I have a little habit of wiping my glue onto my hand, which is probably not the best habit, but it's just something that I've ended up doing over the years. You can by all means use a tissue or a baby wipe or whatever you have on hand to take care of that. But do make sure that you clean away the excess glue, because later on it will affect when you paint, so we don't want that. Okay, so once you've got your frame on and you're happy, then you can add your next layer of glue to the back of that inner panel, remembering to glue onto the side that has the writing on it, and again a nice even coverage, but light on your glue. We don't need too much. And this is lined up by eye, so there's no measurement for this. You just center it as you see fit, and once you've got it into a position that you're happy with, again you can use your roller or not if you don't have one. It's not essential, but once you flatten it out, do use your toothpick or your skewer just to go around those edges and make sure that all the excess adhesive is removed. Perfect. And now once we've got that done, we're going to take the pieces marked RSP for right side piece or right side panel, and we're going to do the exact same thing again. So turn the back panel over so that the nice side is facing up, and apply your glue to what we'll call the bad side of the frame, so the one with the writing. A nice light layer of glue, not too heavy, and once you have your adhesive spread around that piece, again flip it over, adjoin it to that backing panel, wipe away your excess glue and make sure that your pieces again are lined up, because it's not a square, remember. And then once you have your edges lined up and your excess glue is removed, we'll then add another layer of glue to the bad side of the inner panel marked RSP. So you're going to glue onto the side with the writing, and again you're going to centre that into the middle of the frame by eye, and then of course removing your excess glue, and then that's your side panels done. And again here, if you need to figure out which piece is which, you've still got your label on the back of the back panel. So that's really good, and that will hide inside later, so you won't need to worry about it. So we've set that aside to dry, and now we're moving on to our door pieces. So this is the exact same process. We are bringing forward the nice side of the backing piece of the door, and we're setting our adhesive onto the bad side of the door, which has the writing. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record by the end of this tutorial. It's a very nice light layer of adhesive that goes down onto that written side, as I said, and then we're going to gently place that onto the door piece. And the same again, we're going to apply some pressure and get rid of any excess glue around the edges, using our toothpick, and also using the edge of the mat to push down onto if you need to, if your pieces are looking a bit uneven. And then again with the inner panel, adding a layer of glue to the written side and placing that by eye in the centre, and that will have our door complete. Now, as you know, this is a faux door, so it's just going to stick to the front of the desk. So even though we have places cut out for a door and drawers, they are faux door and faux drawers today. So the original desk was designed with working drawers and working door. However, because this tutorial is meant for everybody, including beginners, that's why we haven't included those components today. There will be a later design which I'll release with the cupboard and the drawers for anyone who is interested in making that piece at a later date. Okay everyone, so we're going to move on to our drawer fronts, and this is the exact same concept. So the writing goes to the back and your glue will go onto the frame on the side with the writing on it, and that will be attached to the nice side of the backing. So again, light adhesive, the exact same thing as we've done previously. So I'm going to give you some time to put these together, and it might be time for a quick break. So I'll let you get the rest of that together and we'll be back real soon.